Good evening, everyone. The Final Fantasy Randomizer Winter Marathon 2024 continues. This marathon is benefiting the South Carolina Firefighters Burn Children's Fund, which helps support pediatric burn patients and their families. I'm your host, Classic Gamer 76, and we're continuing the overnight run with some Final Fantasy V Career Day, a rally race. Joining me are Sunflash Room and One Free Fits. How's it going, everyone?
Incredible. How about you, Sunflash Rune?
Oh, I'm ready to get the night over with, but we're just at the start. Good way to kick it off.
Indeed. So yes, we will be having a relay race. We have 3 teams, 3 members, 3 different randomizers, starting off with Final Fantasy V Career Day, then into Jets of Time, the Chrono Trigger randomizer, and finishing off with Final Fantasy VI Worlds Collide. So we're gonna how this is gonna work. We have kind of an estimate on each time slot, so that we're gonna start each leg at the same time. Introducing the runners here. We've got Judge Joe, who has named their character. I'm not even gonna try that one.
I don't even
In the top left, gibberish.
Yeah, sure.
In the top right, Fiery Blizzard, rocking the J, and then Freddy in the bottom left. Let's say B. Freddy was on the relay winning team summer. We did the overnight relay, so I guess the champ, so to speak, in this triple threat cage match. The only rules are, you got to finish within a reasonable amount of time. I'm gonna go ahead and give them the 1 minute warning here and get things kicked off, and we'll kind of talk about Career Day. The big thing up top is they decided they wanted to do the 4 job setting right away. I think that's definitely a popular mode in the vanilla game to play. It's actually built into the randomizer where it enforces like you will only get 4 jobs. You always have to have one of those jobs in your party. Like it won't let you leave the job, like the menu, until you have met that condition. And so it makes things interesting.
Does sound. I know very little about FF4. I've not played it yet. I think I may have played it once or twice as a young lad far too long ago. Okay, hang on. Judge is changing their thing now.
All right.
Okay, all right. I still don't quite get it, but it's easier to read.
And I'm going to go ahead and drop the gate here. I'll start the 15-second countdown. So, in these particular sort of flags that we have chosen in Final Fantasy V, there are 3 different worlds. We call those World 1, World 2, and World 3. And our runners will right now only have access to World 1. They're going to need to find a particular key item.
In order to transition to one of the other 2?
Yes, in order to be able to access World 2, and then accessing World 3 requires 2 key items, which we'll talk about when we see them. To access Exdeath's castle, we have to go in there and beat Exdeath in order to access World 3. And then to beat the game, we need to find 4 tablets, go through the Rift and the Void, which is a bunch of bosses in a row, and then eventually beat the final boss. Loot is tiered by world as well as kind of like depth. And so basically like the farther something is in the vanilla game, the higher tier the loot will be. There is a chance that loot can exceed the tier of the world. So we set that at 15%. So it basically means like, and I think there's a 15% chance something can be 3 tiers higher. So that means we should see some decent stuff as our runners are like looting around here. There are monster in the boxes in particular areas. Those will tend to drop us a high tier item as well. We do have a hint system.
I was gonna say, saw something about an anti-barrier or something World 1, and my eyes are not moving fast enough.
I mean, anything interesting you see, just let me know, because it's probably something we should talk about. So yeah, anti-barrier is one of the 2 items we need in order to access Exodus Castle and get to World 3. So it's definitely one of our big progression items. Knowing it's in World 1 is something. Some of the hints are more specific, like that one, telling us what world. There will be ones that'll say something is Path of the Void, which means it could be a potentially very long chain, but it eventually leads to something we need to get to the void. And then there will be ones that tell us like a location is barren, and we know that there's no progression to the end of the game there. We do start with a warp shard. It lets us warp out of most places. We go to that like space screen, and there will be a little save point looking thing for each world that we have access to.
Right.
So it makes getting around pretty easy. In addition to, we have the airship as well. The kind of popular looting is, we saw that castle we started in. There's this pirate cave that, has quite a bit of chests, and like a higher tier one, the classic beginner's house of almost every Final Fantasy game. I haven't seen anything like super great yet. Shopping is also a factor. The shops are also tiered. I didn't even talk about our jobs, so the next time they menu,
I didn't
we'll
quite catch the.
Remember how I talked about that they're very good? The speed of the menuing that's going on is definitely like a part of that. Like all 3 of these runners are high caliber career day players. They all are also high caliber other like JRPG randomizer players.
I've commentated for a chunk of some of the higher end. I never started the timer. Thank you, Duck Moon. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. We're gonna get. What's the timer in the race room?
We got 4:09.
Okay. Good enough. We're close. Anyway, what I was trying to say is I absolutely agree. Monster in a box. Okay, cool. Absolutely agree with the you can tell they're really good at what they do, because this menuing is just making my eyes go cross-eyed, and I don't think it's the time of day.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is just like practice and experience makes menuing, that develops over time. It's also like a planning ahead thing. A lot of high tier runners are always like thinking several steps ahead of what they're actually doing. But we are heading into our first key item check here, the Wind Shrine. It's the lowest HP boss. So the bosses are shuffled. Their like hit points and power is based on the power of the vanilla spot. And so, for instance, the Wind Shrine, this boss is always going to have like 200 hit points and not hit very hard. But we start at level 1. Now, all of these runners, again, are very knowledgeable. And so a lot of times level 1 is good enough. But we shall see. Ooh, a carbuncle. This is kind of a tough boss. They have permanent wall. They're very hard to hit. They cast shield. Okay, jobs. I'm seeing a time mage, a sword mage. We're seeing a first reset here.
Judge gets through, but Blizzard reset out of it. Oh, game music is probably not turned on. Doop-a-doo. Yeah, I'm tired, ladies and gentlemen. I am so sorry. Classic. You're not helping me do my job, dude. There we go.
Fiery Blizzard heading to the canal, which is like a little bit harder spot, but still relatively easy. We have Ramu here. Ramu is, we have a dancer, I think. Ramu is weak to instant death. I don't think we have any of that, but we found Comment, which early on is pretty powerful. It's always going to do kind of a random amount of damage, but it ignores magic defense. I'm just trying to figure out who this fourth job is. But Ramu is gone, so Fire Loser will be getting through the canal. Everyone but Lena, who in the pre-race chat was predicted was going to go down at least once. It's kind of like a community meme that they just seem to be targeted by bosses more. And there's a couple of scripted instances that they get poisoned. Which we'll probably see. It's because it's shuffled, it's like particular bosses. And like the spot. So I'll point it out when we get to it. Giant gloves.
I seem to recall at least one instance of that.
And a freelancer. So I did vet these for the runners. 4-job can be kind of a problem in combination with like if the required path goes through certain bosses. So like one example that's notorious that I rolled a lot of bad ones that I had to throw out. There's a boss in the game. Their name is Omniscient or Omni.
I was seeing in some of those menus, Knight, Mystic Knight, Time Mage, and then Normal?
Yeah, so Normal is the freelancer.
Okay. Gotcha.
They can equip anything, and they have pretty solid stats overall. And if they learn abilities from other jobs, then they can like equip those. Knight is a good hit stuff job. We saw a Mirage Vest get found. There's a glitch in Final Fantasy V. If we have a Mirage Vest and we get hit, there's a chance that Mirage will go down. If that happens, we can just switch our weapon hands around and it reapplies the image status because of this glitch. So Mirage Vests are very powerful, and then combined with cover, you can, definitely basically cover the whole party from physical attacks. We saw Mute get used on. Mystic Knight is also a very powerful job. Magic statuses applied via weapons are pretty reliable, and it's one of the tools that makes the final boss easier. I did want to be somewhat nice to our runners, so I didn't want to make it entirely impossible.
We do technically have a schedule we're wanting to stay somewhat close to. So.
Correct. So and this one in particular, with the 4 jobs, it was like they also requested. There's a couple of jobs like Samurai, where you can just kind of throw money at all of your problems. Thank you, Speed Gaming 2, for rating in just in time. Clear your schedule for the next 6 or 7 hours.
We're here for the long haul.
We have so much RPG randomizer being played by very knowledgeable and experienced runners. I'll be here all night talking about it with Sunflash Rune. They have been dragged in to be our audience stand-in. So if you have any questions about what's going on, Chad, in terms of the game, what the racers are doing.
I do have one question that I know Classic can jump in for real quick.
Yes.
Hey, Classic, why don't you introduce the Raiders what we're up to while I go get a drink?
All right, that sounds like a wonderful idea. This is the Final Fantasy Random Winter Marathon 2024. We are benefiting the South Carolina Firefighters Burn Children's Fund. They do lots of great stuff. They were founded in 1986 to help Children's Hospital ease the recovery process for pediatric burn patients and their families. Donations to this foundation support South Carolina's only referral center for pediatric burns, MUSC Children's Hospital Pediatric Burn Center. This is a great cause. We will be here all night, or at least Sunflash and Free Fritz will. But you know what will help them make it through the night is definitely some donations. We are currently at over $4,000. Let's see if we can hit 5,000.
Indeed. I'm just pulling up the runner stream so I can look at their trackers, just to kind of see what sort of key items we have so far. They're kind of crisscross applesauce in a little bit in terms of the past. Early on, it's a little bit more linear. There are a lot of places we can go in World 1, even not having access to the other worlds. However, we still need to get some levels to be able to beat the bosses that we have available. So we usually hit these sort of early boss spots because we can reliably get through without a lot of abilities or great equipment, and hoping like along the way, hitting shops as we're seeing like Judge Joe do, try to pick up more power. Certainly like casually playing the randomizer, one would certainly probably in the beginning like look around a lot of places to really make sure we could take on anything, but everyone here is going to be really trying to push that pace and like manage risk, and they're all just very knowledgeable of like the different mechanics and boss weaknesses, of which Final Fantasy V has like a lot of boss weaknesses that if we know what to do, there's a lot that we can get through pretty easily, and then there's like a handful that will ruin our lives if we're not ready for them.
Well, we got Alistair in chat asking if this is standard race flags.
It's standard race flags with a couple of it's an urgent question. A couple of tweaks. We did the 4 jobs. Mystic Knight, Time Mage, Knight, Freelancer was what rolled for that. World 1 access only. Gotta beat the Neo X Death to win. And then in terms of like the loot, it's 15% of chests can be up to 3 tiers higher. So the equipment should be getting more generous kind of as the race goes on. With 4 jobs, we won't be able to take advantage of all that stuff because we don't have a higher profile. It's kind of nicer because we don't have to be as stingy in the shops because we often find a lot of junk. Although with a freelancer, they can equip everything, so that's not entirely true. Someone got poisoned too. We must have seen one of the bosses there. That what was it? Magisa, I believe. There's a lot going on. We also have the speed in Final Fantasy V. Like I think playing other Final Fantasy randomizers always feels slow after playing Career Day because we have that thief ability dash just like built in, and so they're going to be sprinting around at double speed almost the entire time, in addition to blazing through menus.
That is the whole point, to just go fast no matter what. So,
of course, what would be even slower is trying to play through a vanilla game after.
Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. And then like the encounters are we can turn them on and off in a menu, and so
Okay, cool.
at really any point, even like learning this, it's kind of like if we run into a wall, generally if we turn on encounters and take a fight or two, we can probably get through it. But the bosses do provide generous experience and job points, so it's entirely possible to just run around and bop the bosses in like a strategic order that kind of ensures that we can kind of take on anything. In fact, usually, one definitely approach to go fast is really trying to go for like the most powerful boss we know we can reliably take on in order to just kind of keep building power fast and snowball that power towards the end of the game. We've got 3 different bosses right now. The plant, can be annoying. These little flowers do like status effect attacks, but not a lot of hit points spot. This stalker fight is your classic gimmick of like only one of them is real. If we have sleep, it's always the front top one, and we can like kind of freeze them in place, but I don't think we have it, so it's just kind of a guessing survival game. Not my favorite gimmick. And then Greg 4 or Gilgamesh. Greg is kind of how they're known in the community. That one is not particularly dangerous where it was and wasn't around for very long.
Yeah, I have some irritating memories of Stalker. It's been a while since I played Final Fantasy V, but I still remember him.
Yeah, the annoying ones will definitely stick around. So I'll be curious to see as we see some other ones if there are any other bosses that are like, ugh. I remember this fool.
Sorry, I'm trying to do some back-end stuff real quick, so.
Oh, no worries. So, like, yeah, I think right now we are seeing some different places. Freddy has one of the bosses that poisons Lena here in the library, which is, I think, a little bit of maybe an off-meta check, or at least I think a lot of runners try not to come to the library until they have. There's a key item here that lets us get both of the checks here, and they may have it and I missed it, but they found the anti-barrier as their reward, which is one of our Access World 3 items. Not like directly what they're looking for, but maybe an edge finding that on the taking the single or the dip in without having the key item to clear it all. The other two I see are Fiery Lizard head for the Ruins, which is a pretty tough boss, but generous rewards. And then these meteors that they're running around bopping are all between like 2,000 and 3,000 hit points, but they're kind of already getting to the level where they have the capabilities to take it on. Bows are actually pretty strong early, and so I'm not surprised we're seeing everyone's freelancer being bow people right now. Yeah, they haven't really run into anything that can threaten them. The pages that we're seeing people finding, those in World 3 access particular like shrines, which are going to be full of like high tier loot, as well as usually they're pretty rough boss spots at the end. This worm guy, Archaeavis, has actually 5 different forms you have to go through, but when we see that sort of little speech cutscene, that's the last form, so they're going down. Get a little break in the action here. So we've seen this plan, it's not dangerous. Elder Branch, okay, so the most notorious dungeon in this game is called Fork Tower. And you have to split your party into 2. Because the gimmick of that one is the bosses have to be, like, quote-unquote, beat at the same time. And that can be tough. And the Elder Branch is the key item that unlocks it. So, like, finding it this early could mean that we have to go there. The way of the branch points us to the Tower of Fork.
That sounds like one of those having Southern Docks turned on in FF1 and getting or not Southern Docks. Well, I guess Southern Docks or Desert Dock turned on with free ship and getting Chime or Oxio early on.
So here you like rough dungeons.
Have you done your level 5 sea dive in a while? You're gonna.
So we're gonna see some more bosses here. We've got Gilgamesh 2, or Greg too. They're kind of annoying when they get like halfway through their health. They are like, oh no, like I wasn't ready to fight 4-on-1, and then they cast haste, shell, armor, and then start jumping on your party. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it's just annoying because it just takes time. So if it's like this boss doesn't give us like progression, it's like blah. This floating gentleman on fiery screen, Necrophobia, they're gonna be glad to see them now. All of these barriers have reflect, and they just bounce spells off of themselves every turn. At the, higher tier spots, the spells get worse, and once you take all the barriers down, you have to actually defeat Necrophobia, and they just like hit you really hard. They're weak to all elements, so it's kind of like a damage race from there.
Right.
But
good to see it early so it doesn't have the really ugly stuff. But
exactly. And we can even see here that like the like magic effect that was on their like sword magic bounced off of the reflect.
right.
Or they have like a sleep sword. I don't know what happened there, but I just saw that and caught it. So meanwhile, we have a desert dinosaur skeleton. They're weak to. We saw that's a good heads up. Use a quarter. We can also just throw a phoenix down on them and take them out. Meanwhile, stalkers, being jerks, fire blizzards in the necro phase here. Oh, they do open with like a flash blue magic, which inflicts darkness on everyone, which in Final Fantasy V does work. And physical offense is perfectly viable, so it usually means we have to recover, and then this is where he just starts like punching very hard. I think they're gonna be okay, yeah, because it's not a high hit point spot. So I don't think no one's found. We need to find adamantite. That's what lets us take our airship even higher into the skies, where there's like a floating ancient city. It also will give them access to World 2, where there's better loot in shops, better loot in chests, and harder bosses to fight, but also more key item checks to do.
Which is the important part.
It is the name of the game. It's definitely a key item game. The hint system I do enjoy because it's...
I guess it does
That's-
raise a question for me, sorry.
Mhm.
From what I've gleaned from how you've been talking and what I've been seeing, the key items are shuffled amongst other original key item locations. They're not shuffled in like a random treasure box or anything.
Correct. There are definitely... there is a flag to like shuffle it into... I think Monster in the Boxes is one option. But yes, you 100% correct that it's shuffled amongst like the vanilla like dungeons where you would get
Right.
yeah, like the tablets we get in the you need the pages to get the tablets in like the vanilla game.
Okay.
Those are shuffled. That's like an example of that.
So that does, I presume, kind of speed up things a little bit, being able to go, okay, I know I need X key item, but I know I don't want to go hunting random, random boxes. I just have to go to key item locations.
Yeah, really like we're in boxes we're looking for power. We can find like abilities in boxes and shops as well.
Right.
So we'll see our runners like pull boxes until, and this is really like kind of a thing in most,
And it looks like Fred is in the
JRPG.
World 2 then?
Yeah, he must have found their adamantite, which has got them World 2 access. I didn't catch
Yeah, I blinked.
where they got
Yeah,
it, so we'll look to see on the other runners. I mean, World 1, there is a limited amount of checks, and it has to be there. So it's just a matter of
Did you see it,
where
Classic?
Freddy is.
I did not see it, unfortunately.
Okay. Nope, can't win them all. It's alright, not like I got a bingo card or anything.
That was our most recent career day tournament. Was like a bingo, a bingo tournament. It was pretty cool because some of it was like bosses, some of it was like little events that we don't necessarily like do, or like one of them was like get Lena poisoned 2 times, or which is kind of like like a boss and a location sort of thing. But
Right.
it was really neat, and like, you know, just like I think several of the community members like were pretty creative in coming up with like, that's like the interesting part sometimes. Like, oh well, if we did bingo in this game, like what would be on the card, you know? And
Yeah, I've done enough and watched enough bingos to go, okay, that's where the really crazy nonsense comes out of. You know, it's, do you want to have a race full of memes? Here you go. Yeah.
in other words, World 2, like Freddy has access to another wave of haha, now they know that the Fork Tower is required because it is Path of Void. So they're going to have to go there. They're the first to know.
The first to know that, oh good, this is one of those seeds. Lovely.
Hmm.
It's good.
I didn't
for
say
them.
I was going to be the nicest. I said I was
Not as bad as it could be.
kind of nice. Yeah.
What's also interesting to me is, and I don't know if it was stream delay technically or what, but at the start, Freddy was almost like 30 odd seconds or something getting off the, getting their game started compared to the other two.
Yeah, and I
So-
think they took a little bit longer to like look around
well,
in the beginning.
I mean,
and like,
they were in the in the start menu.
oh yeah,
For a little
definitely.
bit. So it was one of those. I feel like they've just kind of leapfrogged ahead. I don't know if they skipped a check or something compared to the others. They don't know the game, but it's quite interesting to see as far behind as they started with. They're already in the second world, so
Yeah, it's definitely going to be, you know, in terms of like who is in the front, like, you know, we're going to be more looking at like Fiery Blizzard now also has World 2 access, I saw. So they have found their adamantite, which I didn't
I
see.
still
but,
didn't
like,
see it.
I missed it too. I noticed they seem to have access to it, but it's like, where
I
did they get
blinked.
adamantite?
But I don't think Joe does yet. So we'll continue to look out for where in the world did that shiny rock come from. But I think we saw the anti-barrier. We haven't seen the bracelet yet. So
Right.
access to World 3, which is again kind of like usually we're trying to push our access as far out as we can go, and then like try to use the hints to narrow our possibilities. Like from there, like Freddy knows Fork Towers Path of the Void, Fork Towers in World 3. I gotta get to World 3, so
Right.
this forest has a lot of loot, and they may have gotten like a hint because there's 5 hints in World 1, World 2, and then World 3. They're not always unique in terms of they can tell you it's like similar stuff or something you already know, but okay, this is these are kind of gross.
I was going to say, another boss I have faint and very poor memories of.
I think like they are nobody has access to like instant death. Like that's one of like there are a lot of bosses that are weak to either break or instant death. There's a community member that has made like a handy infographic that's also part of the tracker for this that
Right. It's
has kind of like squares for everything that you can do to all the bosses. That spot is a pretty high hit point spot, and those all have different like elemental resists, and as we saw, we're pretty punchy. So sometimes in career day, we got to take an L and go somewhere else, and come back later with more levels.
not worth the energy trying to beat you. We'll come back and stomp you later.
Yeah, and I see Dryalizer in chat pointing out Shoda's another bad one. They counter with stoning your party. They like to drain hit points off of the party. And in this spot, they have I think this is like a 10,000 hit point spot. So it's not going to be necessarily a fast fight to get through.
Right.
So we'll keep our eye on that for kind of how it goes. So far, like, they're doing all right.
I know Judge just went through them.
Oh, Medio. Okay. That's not going to help here, though. So this boss, wherever they show up, they're normally in the Fork Tower. They disable our magic abilities. We can't use no magic. Alistair pointing out beefiest spot in World 1 up in the skies.
Right. Well, we have
Bow Castle. I didn't see what that. I do have the spoiler log, so I could go learn some of the stuff that we missed. So I might do that real quick just to kind of catch up on like where we're at right now.
Spells are disabled. Breaking rods is not.
Yeah, there are weird exceptions to like what counts as that. Rods are fine. Minotaur will also cast Holy as their last action.
Because
which can be bad if we only... Oh, there we go. It'll be okay. Someone goes down, but it's more of a problem in their vanilla spot where you're fighting them with 2 party members. And
I think Lena there has died several times that fight, so it only makes sense.
like, it's one of those, it's like, is it a meme because we pay attention to it more, like, or is it truly like something that just actually happens more? Who knows?
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
I think our runners here couldn't tell you for sure. In fact, they would be some of the ones. They were the ones talking about it before the race of like, how many times is Lena going down? This time it's like, I see Fiery Blizzard has moved Lena to the top. Maybe that's out of a superstition of she stays more alive if she's up there. Ooh, Flare. If we had a black mage, that would be cool, but we don't. We will find abilities for jobs that we don't have, and we can't use those. So they're kind of just like junk items out there.
Yeah. So basically in this seed, that one flares out.
All right.
We don't have...
Okay, classic. You've made me do it. Okay, as you were.
Wow.
I might have an easier time holding off the puns if some people donate.
You hear that, chat? Classic gets bored. He starts with the puns. Save us.
Yeah, need some donations coming in to keep me busy.
We're in trouble. Big trouble. All All right, according to the sages that I'm consulting, it was one of the meteors had the adamantite.
Ah, okay. That means nothing to me, but I'm glad we now know.
Yeah, it was in World 1. I couldn't tell you which one because I can't remember where Titan is in terms of which is their vanilla meteor, but
Right.
Meteo some Sandworm spot. Meteo is a very good spell for time mages for most of the game. I talked about Comet earlier. Meteo is the far beefier version of that. Oh yeah, dry. Required fork has been seen now by I think probably everyone at this point, so they know they have to go.
I saw Judge get the hint, stop, open the hint again, like, oh no.
I know what the fans love, and they told me what I was like, what am I looking for? What do you want to avoid? And it was like, well, we don't want the easy jobs, but we also don't want to experience terrible pain. And I was like, okay.
How about moderate pain then?
I don't think Fork Tower is terrible pain. Like I enjoy it most of the time.
Yeah, it is going to be a fork in the road, though. I mean, some donations coming in to keep me busy.
I have,
but
but
of those funds.
do I have server mute or something? And
We're giving them too much time to think about them. That's exactly.
Dark Moon and everyone's gonna wake up to a VOD where I'm just quizzing classic gamer on all the math I can come up with,
I love math.
just to keep them busy.
I basically told you that might work. Even I know better to do math than to do math on Twitch. Usually.
Never live. I mean, I'll be doing some of that. I'll be doing time math at various points this evening, because this is a team relay race. So, so tablets, we need them to beat the game, but in World 2 we can also go to this castle, and there's 12 things, and we can check them out and decide what we want to get. So far, that's a good one. Aegis shields, very good. Magic lamp, incredible. That is a consumable item that summons things in like a specific summon order, and we can use it to instantly kill one of the final boss parts.
Oh, okay. That's
it's
sure
also
convenient.
rechargeable, and once we get to World 3, so in a pinch we can use it. For example, there is a what is it called? They're called like Pearl Burrows. They're like little bomb sprite enemies. There's 6 of them. They cast life 2 when they die, unless they all die at the same time or are muted. Well, if they're muted, they still try to do it, but they can't.
Right.
That can be a place, especially because like their boss spot hit points kind of get spread amongst the parts. They never necessarily have like a lot of hit points, but in a lot of places, one magic lamp use will sort of solve that problem for us if we don't have another way. Yeah, if there were berserkers, if we had a berserker job, the castle was just full of some great stuff for them. But
I saw a hint on Judge's side about, I thought, magic barrier in World 2, if I read that right. Not
I mean, that makes sense.
sure.
Although that's still pretty vague.
Yeah. And I may have misread it. But
So yeah, we're like 40 minutes in. I'm seeing the hit point counts are like kind of getting towards 1,000. Everyone's doing a pretty good job of getting levels, acquiring progression. Fiery knows now. Now everyone knows.
Now everyone knows the doom has come for them.
Berserkers are great until there's a couple of things that are like this too. It's like these things are great until we have to fight the final boss. Like I mentioned that there's multiple parts. There's also fake parts, dummy targets, if you will, that berserkers can target, like a Medio hits can target.
Just waste
So,
their
like-
turn, basically.
Yeah, and so it's like, and it's oftentimes that boss in particular, if only one part is left alive, it goes bananas and starts doing just like terrible things and gets like 2 turns per turn. So
Well, that's not fun at all.
that's the worst time to have a 1 in 3 chance of not hitting a thing that you need to take down. Plus, like, again, about the vetting, I was like, I gave them kind of, I would say, a pretty generous jobs. Freelancer is just so good. And then, you know, Time Mage is pretty good. It can, you know, we can break those rods. That's always useful. But the Fork Tower Path of Void was like, can't make it too easy though. Like, I don't want him to finish in 2 hours, just like sleepwalking, hold A, you know, like
Right.
we need to see some sort of struggle. Maybe
Fred
we'll
has
see.
gone around and checked whatever those are. I've seen them enough to have an idea what they do, but I don't remember what they're called.
Grabbed the lamp, grabbed the probably oh, there was something else that was good. The shield, the Aegis shield.
Right.
And then the third thing might have either been something useful or something that would sell for a lot of money. Because I think it was just a lot of like random stuff of like assassin dagger is instant death. I think that was one that was in there. That
Yeah.
might have been.
I saw assassin. It just said assassin. I wasn't sure if it was a class or a weapon. So
Yeah, it's a dagger that can do instant death. Oh, the quick spell was in there as well. We do have a time mage, so quick is you know,
Yeah.
weird. Lets you take double turn. Certain things make the game break with quick.
You can
Is it
make the
quick
game.
action magic?
I mean, you can make the game break pretty quick, I believe. Get those
also have,
donations
like,
in.
there's like famously some like race situations of like weird quick interactions that have had, you know, caused party wipes
Oh.
in like the final boss fight. It's like, so it's very useful, but like it's one of those where it's just like, because it's kind of a weird ATB ability thing, like have to be, it's pretty much, I think it's, and there are people in chat that know the deep lore and knowledge that can tell you what not to do with quick. Our runners they know that too, so we won't see the weirdness. Hey, I saw Haste 2 mentioned in Final Fantasy V. Haste is an incredible status. It causes the ATB to charge significantly faster. I know in like FF4 it's really not something we do. Well, at least in like the old school mechanics, like not something that we really ever use that often, you know.
Right.
FF6 is like, because I think in FF5 it's a 50% boost in like ATB versus FF6 I believe it's like a third. So being able to full party haste, and there's a relic called running shoes that applies haste, and so it can make it so that basically you can quickly make everyone go real fast. We seeing the Elder Branch get turned in since Fork Tower is Path of the Void. We do have to finish this dungeon. Finding the branch is nice because there's a lot of treasure in here. But this boss spot is thick.
And Fire Blizzard has found that haste too.
Yeah, that's a great thing to find. Ooh, okay.
Right?
Oh, I have memories of this guy.
Yeah, so they're gonna keep casting Comet either once or twice until a party member goes down, and then they try to pull that downed party member into their portal. Having Medio is gonna help. This spot is definitely
Oof.
There's a 30k HP spot. It's a lot to get through. And luckily their time mage did not go down. But they're definitely looking for some higher rolls. This boss can be very annoying, especially if they pick on your chat's getting in on him.
Chat does not get soundboards until they donate. I'm sorry.
The real ones. You only get my low quality.
If we get some
Holy
donations,
Lord.
maybe we can get a soundboard for that.
The soundboard either gets me hired or fired. I live and die by it.
Yeah, Freddy's not too far behind Judge. We've definitely seen some divergence and like the order people have gone in, and I think some of these abilities were discovered like a little bit earlier than later, but I think like overall, without like being able to see like the check count, I think our runners are all pretty close to each other. We need this eventually, so this is one where it's like, well, might as well go do it, and if it's a boss that can beat a lot of experience, but they're really hunting around right now for that, and they know it's somewhere in World 2. The anti-barrier. We have the bracelet or the other one. I can't remember.
I guess
That was like power.
a thing I've noticed as a scrub, if you will, is I know you mentioned early on that there is the you can turn the random encounters on and off. It's interesting watching. Obviously, there's a lot more quote unquote bosses throughout the throughout this game than some of the others. But it's wild watching it where your only XP is finding bosses.
Yeah, the like race settings in the randomizer do, nudge the rewards to make that a viable path. And then like there are situations where the blue mage learns monster abilities. It's known as the death by math build, because they're the one that they get the level magics, and they also have abilities that can manipulate levels. So there's a lot of ways that, with the math, you can kind of just take anything down with level 5 Doom if you know how to get it there. But we're not guaranteed to like learn those abilities, but a lot of the career day runners have the knowledge of like where the encounters are. I know with level 5 Doom, in the library at the top, you can open a book and get into a fight, and that enemy will cast level 5 Doom on you. So there's like other instances of this, but so we'll see that sometimes the trainer job can capture monsters, and there's a couple of monsters that have an attack called breath wing that does fractional like HP damage, and it does a lot of damage to the final boss. So we're talking like we can get those quad 9s, and so if we have 4 job and we have a trainer, we can have 2 people that they can catch 2 monsters that do this, and that's like a pretty solid chunk of damage to help us get through the final boss. So there are definitely situations that people will be taking encounters, but generally we don't have to. And I think when I was playing casually, it was something that I did a lot more early, where I would take a couple of fights before I started boss hunting, but I just didn't know all the ways to smash stuff. And I still don't.
Yeah. They're calling the vanilla game. Many bosses did not give experience, like people could play the low-level challenges.
Huh.
Yeah, and they're sort of like, and this is one of those where I don't know 100% all of the random mechanics, but like it's the experience is based on, in the rando, the hit points of the spot relatively. So it's kind of like if it's a 2,000 hit point boss, we're getting 2,000 experience. There's like certain bosses that just still don't give experience. I think Antlion is one of those because they run away. Antlion escapes, for instance. One of the Gregs does too.
Of course.
Wow, that was tough. But Amos goes down with some like berserk.
I was gonna say, Freddy came down to the wire there.
Yeah, it was close, but they stuck it out.
It would be some fun death by math is making this thing do some math with a donation.
No,
You just
I refuse.
right here. I wonder if they're trying to get off of like a level that's divisible by something.
All right, I've got a stupid question. That boss Judge just took out is called Land Turtle.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember correctly, aren't all turtles considered land things, and it's tortoises that are aquatic-ish?
I mean, I would say with Final Fantasy, like we've always got the localization, right?
Right.
There's all of
Oh,
that.
it's the opposite. Okay.
And then, yeah, I'm no. I don't even know ichthyologist. I don't like. I'm trying to think of the right word to even. Anyway,
It's fine. It was just one of those. It seemed like. My brain just looked at it and went, "Hang on a moment. Is that unnecessarily repetitive?" Herpetologist, says Alistair.
So I think Joe is trying to they were trying to master up a couple jobs so they could like switch around. It looks like Freddy. One of the key items lets us get into the basement of Exodus Castle, and there was a tablet down there. The other one lets us actually dispel the illusion, because we thought this was a regular castle. Well, just you wait.
Just you wait.
It's a dead end. Oh
Dun,
no,
dun,
it's actually
dun.
a flesh castle,
Yeah.
as some call it. So yeah, we saw another nice thing about time mages is they come with float, and there are several dungeons in Meat Castle is another term. There's lava there, for instance, that Freddy's just running over
We
with
don't
no
care.
regard, because they are floating. Always be floating. Geomancers are great because they naturally just don't take damage from terrain. This little bridge roulette is actually very difficult to nail to get those chests.
I was gonna say, as fast as this was going to begin with, that was impressive.
and I never play this on actual hardware. Apparently on the emulator it's even harder to get the timing because of like input delay. But yeah, so Freddy's kind of charging through here. There's a lot of loot in here. There is a boss in the basement, and then there's 2 other bosses that can reward key items in addition to the actual X-Death fight, which we have to beat to get access to World 3, which, depending on what key items Freddy has, there will be between, a couple to 4 or 5 new checks that they can go check out, and maybe some more hints to get. We've got Callow here, who casts Wall immediately. I think I saw a Staff of Judgment on someone, which we can use as an item when equipped to cast a spell. It's pretty useful on particular bosses that like to do dumb stuff. Ideally, we try to mute Callow so they won't drain us all the time. I guess you don't have to dispel. I thought that would bounce, but this gets spit back to I don't know everything, and that's fine.
Wef Jester in here with the raid.
It is true that space rocks cannot be reflected by reflect.
All right, so welcome Raiders. This is the Final Fantasy Randomizer 2024 Winter Marathon. We are benefiting the South Carolina Fire's Burn Children's Fund. For each roughly $500, we can send a kid to camp, which is a great experience. It pairs them with a firefighter, and this is not just for 5 days of camp. This is a lifelong thing. They will be invited to like graduations and weddings and all sorts of things. So this is great. And let's see. And they are so aware of the charity. I see. That is excellent. So let's get some donations in, or I might have to tell another pun. The Raiders could avoid my pun entirely if they make a donation.
You're
at least
really
temporarily.
being held hostage.
Yeah, what's going on?
It's gonna pull the trigger unless we can diffuse it with donations.
Fitz and I over here looking down the barrel of the punster.
Yeah. So Abductor here, they're very close in terms of where we're at an hour into the race. They're like a couple, maybe 2 minutes apart. Overall, so it's definitely still anyone's race, and because it is a relay race, it's not necessarily we always want to give first place, but it's really about saving as many seconds as we can, no matter what the place, because it's about the team's effort overall, not necessarily the individual wins.
Right. Because the relay's over the next 3 sets completely, right?
Mm-hmm. Titan can be very gross, but we do have a time mage with Float. One of the seeds that I vetted and put in the trash can had Titan in Fork Tower with no way to cast Float. And they were in the punchy minnow spot, so it was gonna be a real. I was honestly like, I don't know how I'll get past this because they didn't have any jobs that were gonna make it really easy.
Handle it.
All right.
I had some stages that I consulted, and I told them what I was worried about, and they were like, "Yeah, get rid of that." And, I was like, "Okay."
Wef, go after it, classic.
All right, because we have a donation coming in. We have 200 from Wef saying this is a matching donation from all the selfless, amazing donations from my amazing community tonight. I love you all. Weffy World, Final Fantasy VI Collide Sunday Run, 105 to save Sid, and then 5 not to save Sid. Let's get a proper bid war going.
Hey.
I love it. I love it.
Okay, I need to...
I love it as well.
I'm going to be
See,
a
chat,
little distracted as I
hoping-
catch this up, so
hoping for required fork. Let me tell you,
we
you've
have
seen
it.
the head. That is Path of the Void. They all know. I knew from the beginning. Because one could say, not that I did this, but I approved of it. The generator didn't, but I was like, that's fine.
That's good enough. We'll call it fun.
It's the Saturday overnight. We gotta get a little weird with it.
Make them stress a little bit.
As long as you don't donate for Berserk. That gives me ideas.
Oh yeah, I'm in that race for the Berserk thing.
I mean, although there was a donation and I do want to lay out the puns eventually, I would say go Berserk with the puns if you want to, or go Berserk with the donations.
Now wait a minute.
Hang
I thought
on,
that
wait.
the donations were gonna give us a break, and now it feels like
We're changing the rule set here.
make the donations too, and it seems
I didn't
like
say how. Now, did I say how long of a break?
Yeah.
No, we didn't negotiate very well.
All right, Darth Vader. That's enough.
So we are seeing X-Death. They are week 2 holy. I don't think we got any holy blades. If we had life staffs or light staffs, we would bust those over our knees and cast holy on them. We are using, I've seen this a bit too, the power staff strats. We can use it, we can attack our party members with it, and it casts Berserk, which is going to increase damage for our knight.
Yeah.
And again, space meatballs work on everything. The meaty orbs are irresistible.
And I should point out, St. Von Jester in chat said no breaks on the puns ever, or he will kill Fritz. So, for Fritz's sake, I think I need to, keep making these puns. I just don't want him to be punished otherwise.
Yeah. Yep.
That's-
So here's the deal about that is that in Chrono Trigger, there is a poor merchant who just happens to look like Chrono a little bit and gets thrown in jail because of it. His name is Fritz. He is my ancestor.
Ah.
1000 AD, a different timeline. So it's important that we preserve the timeline because if I feel like the Jets runners, if none of them save Fritz, I might just disappear. It's a risk that I run, at all times. I feel like there's a number, a percent, if you will, that if it goes below 50, then my ancestor doesn't exist in enough of the timelines, and therefore I don't exist in enough of the timelines. And then you have some people in the community who are in chat right now that might also call a certain reforesting robot a trash can. Have the erroneous take that Fritz is not a merchant but a criminal, yet as adventurers we're greedy to buy their potions and mid-ethers, so I would say they're a pharmacist, just providing an essential service to the community. But anyway, that's a different game. We'll get into
there.
all that.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
The hot topic. All right, we'll spend an hour in the Jets of Time run talking about the value of Robo and Fritz. But anyway, Freddy has gotten through his X-Death fight with a lot of medios and good game knowledge. Judge Joe well along the way. It looks like we did find the Mirage radar at some point, so there's a little secret town here. You can get some of the best shopping, and there's 2 hints for us to get as well. This also gives us access to the purple, or is it black? I read it as purple with my eyes. chocobo who can fly. No one committed to piano percent. I should have thought ahead and been like, who's playing all the pianos? I'm gonna really. I'll be like 10 minutes off of your time if you play all the piano. First, we'll do that for the next reel. I'll think about just little like side wagers that can reduce a team's time for next time. But that is where one of the pianos is. It is a couple of item checks in the game if you play this in multi-world ever. Sometimes you gotta. I go for the pianos pretty quickly because it's fun, but there's a couple of items you can get from a bard on an island if you have mastered the piano.
Trying to update the stuff and I screwed something up, so I'm still going to be distracted. I'm so sorry.
No worries. Holy Sword would have been useful earlier. Break Blade, very, very good. There are other ways to do break, but they have a lot bigger chances of missing.
So that was a lucky break. I've got to keep you alive, you know?
X-Zone, that's a source of instant death. It sends enemies to the cleft of dimension. Steamship Key is on the island. I saw that in. I did not see the other one. It was a strict 4-job, Chubblekins. Trializer pointing out, Fire Blizzard does not have media, which has been a lot of the main offense we've seen the other two kind of leaning on to get through the various bosses here. Halicanasso turns everyone into toads, or at least they try. Someone's wearing a ribbon. Linne is, so. Ribbons, like in all Final Fantasy games, are great hats / accessories.
Great question in chat. Did you get to choose a party or is it strict 4-job? I believe it is strict 4-job.
It was strict. They made requests to not get Samurai as one of their jobs. They didn't want easy mode jobs. I was more generous with the jobs because, I mean, I'm making them go to Fork Tower, so I wanted, there to be a little bit of, well, at least I gave you some tools.
We have Fiery taking on X-Death now. Gonna head over to World 3. Once he's done, anyway.
They don't have the media, so they're gonna be doing rods and big. That's a big sword, though. They must have found like a Ragnarok, or that might be an X-Cal even. Brave Blade. The Knights can use all the good swords. So can the Freelancer. Mystic Knights can use some of the swords. They mostly shine in their ability to completely shut down some bosses and then exploit elemental weaknesses as well. Oh, here we go. Freddy first to follow the way of the Blessed Branch into the embrace of the Fork Tower. There's some that would say this is a cursed place. That's because they bring bad vibes to the tower.
Haters gonna hate.
Yep.
So we'll see who's up here. They pretty much got a pretty good split going on. Time Mage Knight. On the other side, it's Mystic Knight Freelancer. And the Freelancer likely has some Time Mage action going on, or one of those two does.
Yeah, they've at least got, I presume, a beefcake of some kind on both, it sounds like, so.
No, I'm not hearing your Cheez-It box. Could make some Cheez-It puns, though, if you don't get some more donations soon.
No. No. Instead, you will get
A boot to the head.
If it brings in some donations, I will take boots to the head.
That is a mammoth without a trunk.
I think his trunk is curled up, actually.
Oh, is it? Perspectives are weird in sprite format. I can see that, yeah. Did someone assassinate Fritz?
Not yet.
Need to stop the fun apocalypse. I mean,
He's got you there, Classic. You should probably have a little bit of mercy.
I mean, as long as it doesn't end, poor Fitz, I'm fine with, keeping a break of the bonds for at least a little while.
Okay, let me see here. When does Classic Gamers Shift end, and why is it not now?
Oh. Yeah.
X
I didn't
Zone.
say I picked the terrible bosses to be up here at Fork Tower. I wanted to put a little bit of fear, but have it be a little bit of okay, it wasn't that bad. There's still other obstacles, outside of Fork Tower, but just the split party nature can make this very challenging. There is definitely the Void boss gauntlet that can also present quite a bit of challenge. Several of the seeds that I had to bend had stuff there that I wouldn't have wanted to deal with, and so that's a fairly good standard in vetting a seed. If I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't want to finish this after this. That's a pretty good one to throw away.
Right. Yeah, it seems like other than a little bit of a bumpy start for some of them, it seems like it's been going pretty smooth, so.
If I was vetting seeds for my enemies, I found a few good ones, but yeah, they have a lot of options on the table, and I think that was something I was looking for a little bit too. Was I didn't want something that was going to be maybe too linear, even though I required the fork. I'm trying to remember what we're looking for. A tablet, I believe, is kind of the last piece here. Because both of the bosses at the top of the tower are vulnerable to instant death, which was available finally at the hidden village, Mirage Village.
Good point was made in chat. Needed Omega and Shinny instead of next time you try this. Yeah, I agree. Although I have to wonder, could this Rando actually make either of those guys required? I mean, FF1 Rando can make the Warmech required.
There, it is a setting that can be your go mode, is to fight one of the super bosses instead of the traditional one, and certainly via some sort of incentive. I don't know if I haven't even fought either one of them, so I would need a lot of practice. Here's that Omni fella I was talking about. They counter physical attacks with reset, so we gotta mute them. They can be berserked, which will stop them from doing their stuff, but under all those robes, they are really jacked and punch incredibly hard. So without some sort of way to mitigate that, it's not the best strategy, but with the mute swords, Freddy's kind of just free to swing away. In fact, they're gonna start berserking their own team and beating up this wizard. Flare, they counter at the end of their hit points, but they're muted, so very nicely handled by Freddy.
And Fairy's also in the tower, as I did refrain from a pun there.
And so yes, that was the front boss, which Judge Joe is also heading there. Let me see what our hands were. Yeah, because I got the hint that the ancient library was Path to the Void. That was in Mirage. But the library was what? Double check. Library had anti-barrier. In the first spot. But we haven't seen, I don't think we've seen Ifrit's Fire for the second spot. So sometimes hints can be a little confusing to interpret. I'm not the most masterful hint logic reader. Everyone finishing up their fork tower. Freddy heading towards the back of the falls, collecting some loots. Ooh, running shoes. We love to see those. Like equipment wise, we're seeing like pretty close to that sort of end game stuff we would want to look for.
Excuse me.
Here.
Dang. Completely unnecessary on there, and it's not your guys' fault. Oh, brother.
Hey, maybe a few donations might help give you. It wouldn't be as effective as coffee, perhaps. It might give you a little jolt there.
Mayhap. No. Okay. Oh, this is that, the pure Puraburus you were talking about back at the start. Okay.
Yeah. These are gross. If we don't really have a good way to deal with them, we don't really have like that reliable of AoE consistent damage. Rod breaking would be probably our most reliable option, I would think. No one's ever super happy to see this fool. I mean, we can do this the like kind of annoying way of just making sure we get mute on all of them. Slowly but surely. Let me check to see if there's a hen that would send us to the waterfall. Because the fact that they all went there.
Clearly, they're all just here for the shoes, right? Gotta have the good kicks.
Right.
I mean,
I don't think they got a hint to come here. I think this is just thinking alike. What are we getting here? This is the Levi spot.
last thing we saw them, like, they all got, what was it, submarine key and something else out of the Fork Tower bosses.
I'm going to have to interpret all of these void hints in order to know. It is probably one of the void hints points. here.
Hmm.
Because they got hinted where the first tablet was, which they've already found. And then there are a few of these that said they were Path of Void. I think one of the Fork Tower items, in addition to being... Oh, it was a shrine page and a submarine key. So they were told that that was Path of the Void, which meant...
And they just got a tablet out of the back of the waterfall, so... Well, Freddy got a tablet. Everyone else is still working their way towards it.
Trench. Which is one of the things that the submarine key gives us access to. I think Freddy is just looking for their fourth tablet now. Two of them were available pretty early. The third one has a slow but doable boss. Ooh. It's Go-Go. I love to see Go-Go later on, because you kind of, most of the time, the way we beat them is by doing nothing. It's a good time to stretch, refill the beverage,
Make a donation?
make a donation.
Yeah, a donation for what, Classic?
That is a very good question. Final Fantasy Randomizer Winter Marathon 2024 is raising funds for the South Carolina Firefighters Burn Children's Fund. It is a great cause. It helps match firefighters with pediatric burn patients and send kids to camp. And this is not just a 5-day thing. This, they remain in part, connected for life. I mean, we have things like invitations to graduations, weddings. It helps show these kids that, hey, you can live a normal life too. And it gives them a chance to be kids. So, let's get some donations coming in. This is a great cause.
Indeed.
I don't know
The
where...
thing...
Go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say the thing about the Go-Go fight is it's basically like on a timer. What we did see Freddy do was haste Go-Go to make that go faster. Depending on where they're at, it's possible we can like fight them faster, but essentially if we hit them with a physical attack, they counter that with a very strong physical attack. If we hit them with magic, they counter with Meteo.
And if we do nothing and just
Very
wait...
risky to try to fight them. So Freddy was like, I'm not going to fight them, but I don't have all... I'm trying to go fast, so hurry it up. Good use of haste.
Haste seemed like a good setup.
Normally, Go-Go is at an underwater section with like a timer.
Oh, that's rude.
Which makes it all the more nerve-wracking that, like, the way that you're supposed to do is... wait.
Right?
Yeah, memory serves. I remember waiting a bit white-knuckled during my first encounters, like, is this going to work? It's ticking down.
Yeah, I mean, really at this point, I think we're seeing runners chase down anything that was like a Path of Void hint. And I think their like most recent one that they possess is still that the Fork Tower was on the way. The Fork Tower dropped the shrine page and it dropped the submarine key, but the submarine key unlocked access to the trench here, the falls that we already saw. There's the underwater tower that I mentioned. There's also a World 2 check that the submarine key unlocks. And so kind of one of those. You're just kind of picking your place, and I think we're seeing the runners again opt for like, where am I going to get the most rewards, the most experience, when, I don't really have any better information to like point me to like a specific checks.
Right. Excuse me.
And we're also seeing like our final sort of unique shop down here. A couple of hints which were pretty useless. Didn't tell us anything new or that we didn't already have. And I think on the shops I saw light staffs. I saw some wall rings to get purchased just in case. We need some of those. And Freddy is heading somewhere that the Path of the Void Hen, maybe, or we're gonna go do the Odin spot. It's a good question from Chad. I have not caught every hint that they have seen. I was looking at the available hints, which at this point they have access to every hint that's out there. But the hints are just not super specific. Their only void hints was the library, the ruins, and Fork Tower. The ruins gave us 2 tablets. The library gave us anti-barrier. And Fork Tower gave us shrine page and submarine key.
What you need is somewhere in the video game. Good luck.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of options and just get through them.
Excalibur pickup by Judge there. That seems convenient and good.
Yeah, in terms of big swords, the X-Cow is okay. It does do holy damage, which is mostly useful for X-Death. I think Brave Blade is one of our finest big swords that we can get. There is the chicken knife. In the vanilla game, the Brave Blade gets weaker if you've run away. The chicken knife gets stronger the more you run away. In Career Day, they nicely have made it so those are both at max power no matter what. So they're both equally viable.
Gotcha.
Weapons, the like chicken knife ignores damage. Its gimmick is that you have a chance to run away or try to for using it, but there are a lot of job commands that allow us to like escape that gimmick and be able to utilize like the full power of the chicken knife.
Oh, it's called chicken knife and not chocobo knife, huh? That seems like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I think they named it because of like the mechanic that's associated with the power there. And in Final Fantasy V Career Day, chocobos are honestly probably the true heroes of the game. It's really the story of one yellow chocobo who believed in themselves, and because of that, they could do incredible things that, normally the yellow chocobos are we can only run on lands, like plains, right? Like,
Right.
but this guy he does so much. We wouldn't be able to save the world without the efforts of the yellow and then the purple / black one later on.
I would actually tend to think they're purple because 7 had black ones and they don't fly. Of course, none of the ones in 7 actually fly, I believe.
You believe in flying chocobos?
Oh yeah, flying. We can summon them.
Ow.
There's the normal chocobo summon, and then there's the big boy chocobo that does more damage. That's always fun. There's been a lot of Final Fantasy games with the chocobo summon. Trying to start getting things coordinated for the jet screw. Multitasking.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's still looking for that. We're really on that tablet hunt. Where is it? Chasing
Last
down
place you look, usually.
any void chain that could lead to that final tablet, and then we just gotta go kill like 6 bosses in a row. There's a couple saves in between. And then 2 phases of final boss. One of them has 4 parts, so there's a bit of end game once we get into go mode, but it'll go pretty fast once they get there.
Yeah.
This is another annoying boss on Freddy's side. Can turn our party into statues. They do some. Do they cast Quake? I think the main annoying thing is just the stone counters.
Yeah.
Ooh, nice job, Fire Blizzard.
Yeah.
These gargoyles are annoying because you have to kill them within pretty close time to each other. Otherwise, they just keep resurrecting over and over again.
Well, I heard there was still time for some donations.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. I don't know how much of that yawn came through, but oh, that hit me hard.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah, it's definitely, especially on these chefs. But I'm pretty sure a few donations would give a good jolt.
Yep.
A cup of coffee might help too, but definitely the donations.
You know, I don't like coffee. I think I'm the only one in my group that I just usually don't touch the stuff.
Yeah, we all have our, either caffeines or ways to get going, but that's really only masking the tiredness at the end of the day. Anyway,
That is quite true.
I'm just gonna lean into it. I'm just gonna get progressively stranger as the night goes on. Yeah, underground battle castle giving us the big bridge key, which is definitely not the key item that we're particularly looking for. Freddy finding a monster in the box, deciding that's not worth his time. Saved recently. Moving on. The trench giving us the Moogle suit, which is also not the key item that our runners are looking for, because it's not leading to that. Ooh. This boss has an interesting Leviathan is another not pushover. Although with the bolts that'll help. Twintania, their first phase, they can counter attack pretty hard with like dumb AoE stuff. And then they go into like a charging mode. And that's kind of what we're seeing Freddy here, is just kind of biding their time. And when they go into the charge mode, they're weak to like break and instant death. And so if we are knowledgeable, we know that, and we can also hover our cursor over them like this. And when it goes away, we know they've changed form.
Oh, that's sneaky.
Yeah,
Which
that
if
is
you're ever like,
sneaky.
well, how do they know? And like, so Freddy had break sword ready. He knew he just needed to survive until that happened. And then the window is pretty small. So it's definitely why we see that sort of like using the cursor to know when it's going to happen. But if we hit that window, we're good to go. So that's the steamship key. Which does lead to more key items, but when you're on that one more go mode item hunt, usually what we don't want to see is
You don't want more options.
more possibilities. But
You do not want the casino opening up more. You want the casino getting narrower. Oh boy.
But Freddy is chasing that freshly acquired steamship key, hoping it leads to the tablet of his dreams and completing his go mode, just having to navigate that boss gauntlet to finish the seed. And we'll like talk more about like the final boss, I think, once at least one of the runners gets into like the go mode dungeon. We're looking in pretty decent shape. There's always a little bit of, I've learned the hard way not to skimp on things like Phoenix Downs. If there were elixirs I could buy in the store,
Right.
like go get some of those. Like
Never.
that final boss fight goes sideways in a lot of different ways. But they have some of the tools to help out with it, but not like all of the ones that we would have if we weren't doing 4 jobs. So
Yeah, one of the biggest rules of RPGs in my book is never skimp on your potions.
Consumables are usually pretty powerful in these games. I'm just checking out kind of what's going on in some of these other fights. This Golem Zombie Dragon fight. Well, Steamship is a World 1, so no
Squish,
threat here.
in other words.
We're supposed to save the Golem, and then we get them as a summon, but
Yeah,
Freddy doesn't have
absolutely
time
safe.
for that. And it has gotten their 4th tablet, but cannot leave because you have to finish this whole place. Because the steamship like explodes in a way that also makes the castle explodey, and we have an escape sequence. There's a couple of monsters in the box here early on. Getting a steamship key can really give us a lot of goodies, but Freddy just wants to, and we saw them, showing us that they couldn't warp out even if they wanted to. So they're making a beeline to fight the second boss of this check, and we'll probably, depending on their supplies, they might go do a little bit of shopping. Judge Joe, devastated to learn that the underwater fight not only didn't give a key item and give him a harp, which he could use with the freelancer, but
Not an ideal end result.
That would be a grr.
So you said Freddy found their last tablet. They're in go mode.
They are in go mode, so they have the rift bosses and the final boss fight. I would estimate for them that they're like a half hour out from the GGs, you know, given everything goes smoothly. Because they're gonna do a final shop. They likely have taken notes, at least for the couple things that they want to come back for.
Right.
Early on, which was here, and also here.
So I heard half an hour to get more donations in, and there hasn't been a pun in a little while, but you know, that break doesn't last forever.
Mayhap if I was awake enough, I would be counterpunning, but instead you just get sighs.
But no soundboards.
No. Mostly because I'm trying not to. I've still got 2 more games I gotta run with Fitz, man. I don't want to wear them out already.
That is definitely a fair point.
The key to good soundboard usage is to be spare. Use it like a knife, not a rage hammer. Unless you're in a call with Jay, then you just spam it just to annoy him. I don't know why I'm ragging on him. He's asleep. He can't hear me. So, but, you know, details.
Oh, Taco Magic in chat does make a good point. No sleep.
No sleep.
Nope, not until we get to the end of the relay.
No sleep till Brooklyn. Wait,
Only leg 1. We've got Jet's time coming up next. Once we either hit the time limit for career day, which I think all 3 of our runners, assuming, you know, we're not gonna get any like last locationing, are all gonna be coming in under the estimate. Freddie is having a pretty good pace here, making his way through. The Rift is kind of weird and is like pieces of other parts of the game. Well, the Void and then the Rift. They're 2 separate things. So we'll see, like, oh, it's like a kind of similar looking forest. There was that town, the like hidden town we were in earlier. We are coming up on our first boss of the gauntlet here.
I did see Joe just got their steamship key, so.
And they're
If they
they're on their
chase
way.
that, they're on their way.
Their final tabby.
I have no idea where Blizzard is at.
Got an antlion here. Antlion kind of a jerk. Just really hit hard. Freddy has 55 Phoenix down, so I think they're good on those.
Yeah, I think that'll be enough.
You know, I would say so, but in 4 jobs, one can never have too many. Especially we don't have like a white mage. We have no way to res other than those, so it's not something that we want to run out of in a very
good example. We're already down someone.
Yeah. And it's Lena. Who would have thought?
Who? This is my shocked face.
You know, sometimes you gotta take a nap.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's in the middle of a boss.
Oh, that sounds good right now.
I think the chemist shop could also do a raise, but they don't have access to that either.
Yeah, there's a couple, you know, they have their and they can do better Phoenix Downs with like the mixes. They get like the revive. There are a few different ways we can do it. A summoner can do it with the Phoenix summon. Well, listing more things that they don't have. Odin is no pushover. Although with the break blade, never mind. I think
Yeah.
they're a pushover. I forgot that they're weirdly. Okay. We just had to survive that.
I guess the
one
other
odd
thing
thing
too is they're gonna have all these bosses are gonna have more HP the deeper they get into this gauntlet. So
Yeah, definitely. Odin is pretty quick and hits hard. Fortunately, they are weak to break. Unfortunately, pretty much only the break blade sword magic is going to actually land. I've had plenty of Odin fights trying to spam choke summons or the break spell, and it's just not going to happen. Like, maybe if you're incredibly lucky, you'll get it in an actual, like, reasonable amount of time in a race setting, but most of the time it's just like, nah.
Yeah. Or more like if you're incredibly unlucky, your opponent will get it in a reasonable amount of time.
insta kills only work for other people, just like Vorpal is only good for other runners.
And every chest we don't open is the best thing in the game.
Yep.
So we got Biblos here. They're weak to fire. After we hit them, they cast armor on themselves, which is annoying. Missing is also annoying. But I don't think this one's too dangerous for them, especially if Lena decides to actually hit with her Fire 3 sword magic.
Any day now.
She might not actually get a chance to. Running out of there. There we go. So certain bosses that don't have what is called the heavy flag and are weak to an element, if they take damage from the tier 3 element that they're weak to, it's in their script that they are just done for. And this is one of those.
Oh, okay. Gonna
So
say
they just needed one to hit out of all of those. But we're getting pretty close to, you know, plinking their way through the actual hit points. So that boss gets us a save point. Then we have to fight another boss. This was me being a troll. This boss is very annoying because it moves around a bunch, and if you have something queued up and it moves, then you hit the hole, and the hole casts quarter on people. Being a desert creature, the spell Aqua Rake does a crap ton of damage to it, but otherwise we just kind of got to do this. No Meteos.
Right.
That would be bad.
Don't want to hit the holes.
Yep. Well, we have a little opportunity here. There's something I would like to note. We are actually only $15 shy of the summer 2022, which is our first marathon total. So let's get some donations coming in.
Yeah, I think we can. We'll keep working for it. I mean, we're gonna keep being punished until we get the donations so we can turn off the pun switch.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, you know, the P switch in Mario, where like there's like a pun version of that, and if we punch it, then the puns go away until the timer runs out. Then they come back.
And now I need to make a note to add Mario sound effects for my next soundboard stuff.
Puns will continue until donation totals improve.
Yeah, morale doesn't get to be factored in whatsoever on this, unfortunately.
But what we've learned is donations also cause puns to happen.
Yep, it's lose if you win, win if you
Really, like-
lose if you lose. Yeah, it's just puns all the way down.
No escape.
Right, there was a little bit of a break, but I will say, morale will improve if there are donations. But I also have to agree, puns are the morale of the story. Yes.
Hmm. But yeah, so that was Siren. Siren's not that big of a challenge. This is a pretty notoriously tricky spot, and this is not. This is like the big brother of Biblos. They are still weak to fire, but they do not. They have the heavy flag, so we can't. There's no one shots here.
No one shots.
There it is.
Still gonna miss though. Can almost guarantee it.
Oh, Dryalizer, how much hit points are we talking about here? I want to say it's like 45,000, maybe even like 50,000. It's a thick spot. 50k. This was the spot more than any other thing in my vetting that caused something to go right in the trash. I think they have the tools. It's really the healing is going to be like kind of the struggle. This squad in general does not sustain fights well. It's a fight to not be taken like casually without proper. If we don't play proper respect the panda, then we end up
Taking a dirt
squished.
nap.
But it's not Lena at the moment.
Fiery just got their tablet.
Those poor butts.
But he isn't the butts of all the flat on the face jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, yep. That's just.
Usually this time of year the crickets are sleeping, but I had to wake up for this.
I got nothing.
Got nothing. Ooh. It's getting a little spicy here. I mean, the haste is helping, but we got to keep getting that damage output. We've got a berserked character that's helping, but we can even see in the back row, those punches are landing for 1,200 damage. So,
Yeah.
misses are not going to help us.
Cease
And
with the miss.
unfortunately, like, ooh.
All right. Not ideal at all.
Yeah, we really need to not see the AoEs. That's rough.
Focus fire. So in FF1, there's the thing about about how I think the chance to hit is like, oh, what is it? 50, 25, 12 and a half, 12 and a half, or something like that.
Yes.
I have a standing rule that 12.5% is a lie. The guy, oh, ouch, that's a full wipe.
Ooh.
That panda is not having any of this.
Yeah, they kind of suck. We do have quick to help like recover, I do see. And we do have a way to inflict like berserk to Dryalizer, who's also a high level runner of this, suggesting that we could berserk them. That would really only let them one shot one person at a time. And we definitely have the supplies too.
Right.
be able to keep picking someone up while still outputting a decent amount of damage. It's just kind of like unfortunate too, because the sword magic, if a character goes down and we bring him back up, we have to like recast it. So like this is like a fight where like if we get fortunate and our powerhouses are able to like hit hard, you know, we could get through pretty quickly. This also demonstrates why there are times that it can pay to be try to be aggressive in here and like skip a save after an easy boss. But there are times where you run into a panda, and
And
that being said, the siren like was so fast. It's just like Freddy could run back down after siren, save again, and then not do this again. But I don't know. Those are tough calls to make, especially in real time.
right.
I knew I was wrong about it. Sword magic does stay through death, but if we do the weapon swap thing to make our Mirage Vest come back, we lose the sword magic. I knew there was like something weird. There's a weird quirk with that.
Well, despite Freddy feeling like they had a pretty decent lead going into this final set of gauntlets, they're almost tied up on the left side here. Of course,
Yeah, having
Freddy-
a boss setback definitely will do that to us.
Freddy does have the advantage of knowing what's coming, while
Which knowledge is power.
Joe's about to just walk head first in this and be like, oh.
Yeah, we're gonna see some dueling approaches. Can Joe get through on their first try? Can Freddy use their knowledge to... Oh, charm is so annoying. Muddle, been ruining everything since it was created as a status in RPGs.
I'm actually wondering when that could first be targeted on party members.
Because FF4 had a
Yeah, I remember.
charm muddle status.
Yeah, I don't know if 3 did. I don't think 2 did. I have to look. My memory on it is muddled. I mean, if we get some donations in, we might get a break from the puns.
I hate how good that setup was. That's just...
Yeah, I'm about to like lash myself to
That was...
the mask and put like beeswax in my ears so that I can continue to steer the ship forward.
Well, Joe just got through, so... And they immediately went, hey, you know what I don't want to have to do again? That.
No, that's very smart. Definitely don't skip a save after a boss that... And, you know, Joe's experienced enough to know of, like, yeah, if I caught the kind of wrong set of circumstances, like, I could have easily been fighting that boss again. And so those are
Right.
definitely ones where it's like, yeah, we're not...
I know, I just do not want that anymore. Thank you.
And it's also, that's the last required boss that we have to take before the final one. There is one we can choose to take that's right before the final boss fight,
Mm-hmm.
and it unlocks a save point as well as a warp point. But everyone got pretty stocked up, so I could see some of our maybe runners choosing to skip that last boss fight and the last save point save after this a panda fight. Which again, if we could hit, that would really help the overall. Freddy's case for getting past this fight would be helped by making contact with the enemy with those fire 3 swings. I mean, that's like 6,000 damage we're missing out on every time. It's not happening. And we got 50k to get through here.
Meanwhile, Fire Blizzard's now on the panda fight is going to learn just how unpleasant it is.
They've all caught up real close with each other. It's a good race.
Yeah, it's really back and forth, and I think, you know, if I was more alert on a rewatch, you know, we would really be able to see like some of the little decisions, those micro decisions that these runners have made. Taking fairly similar paths, different orders.
Right.
A couple of like gone, you know, Freddy was first in the void. Joe, I think, was the only one that went underwater. They all eventually got there. But it's partly like punching. Nice. And with 4 jobs, you know, we're always going to have relatively similar sort of tools. So it can make those like little nuances in execution shine.
Yep.
And yeah, congrats to Freddy for getting through. Definitely good execution. Slight adjustment in tactics, and you know, sometimes all it takes is getting average luck and then doing it a little bit differently.
Yeah.
And that was one of those cases. It takes experience to know when that is the case, and I definitely know as a newer RPG rando player, you better donate Taco Magic if you want that to get read out loud. There's no free.
Mm-mm.
I'm not just putting that out there.
I just had to look at that. I'm not going to hear it unless there's a donation to charity for that one.
Yep. Always ready for more donations.
This is.
And you know, if you put a pun in your donation comment, I will definitely read it on the air.
I will approve of it. I won't sigh. I will be like, that was so great. And I'll be more excited than I was. Because again, that was like the free version of my excitement about it. This is a pay to get excited model. Yeah, this is going to be incredibly close. Some of this is going to come down to like how much time do we spend getting ready for the final boss, who is going to choose to take that very last save. I mean, the advantage is if we wipe on the final boss, we start a lot closer. If we don't wipe on the final boss, then we wasted time.
Right.
And if we were short on supplies, we could use that to be able to like warp out, restock, and then come back in real quick. But nope.
We're just going for it.
We got the tree version here. Generally, we're going to use this phase to really buff up. The main thing they're going to do is they're going to try to punch us. They also have an attack that's called White Hole. It inflicts stone and instant death. I know we have a couple characters with Aegis shields, so that'll help them like evade that. And once we feel sufficiently buffed up and like prepared, we don't really have buffs. So if we had like a bard, we would sing here for a while. If we had a chemist, we would be like mixing our levels up. We see here we're like hasting, applying any sort of beneficial status we can get going.
Yeah, we've got basically time magic and whatever's in the inventory.
And then we have to burst through a lot of damage fast. Oh, excuse me. Burst on 2 out. That's not bad. We're gonna get more of that as the night goes on, but I'll try to mute more of them too. So we have a decent amount of hit points to get through when they are in their last like 10,000. Their scripts change the lower their hit points get, and they're the most dangerous in that last bit. And so we're gonna see our runners try to kind of measure out some damage and then do their best to really like pile on quickly to make sure that they're not hanging out in the dangerous phase. They're also going to prep up their Mystic Knight with the Break Sword in preparation for the next phase, because whatever sword magic or buffs we have going on, those carry over. And it's safer to do the buffing and getting ready in this one where we have a 4v1 versus the next one where we have a 4v4 and like all the cards have 60,000 hit points. But I don't even know. It's too close to call. I'll be perfectly honest.
We have all three runners on the final boss now.
It is, from a racing perspective, knowing this is a relay thing. This is kind of pretty cool, just to be able to go, okay, there's not going to be much of an advantage for any team leaving this.
No, indeed, like, and you know, with randos, it can always be hard. I think, especially in like a relay, where just because sometimes of like someone makes a kind of like off meta choice that leads to like a more direct path, we can see a little bit bigger swings. But I do love for the opening one, and I knew with these three that they were coming in pretty close. So Joe and Freddie have both finished the tree phase, and now we're moving on to the final fight. We have 4 parts. They all do pretty bad stuff. I'll try to give the brief rundown because there's going to be a lot of stuff happening fast, and some of these parts are just going to be gone and not matter. There's a big speech too. We gotta sit through the big speech.
Yeah,
then we have
gotta let them get on their stool and preach for a little bit.
this big old form. So like the muscle dude at the top, they just punch pretty much. If we have a way to inflict dark with, there's a couple good ways to do it, but we don't. So they're probably just gonna hang out up there. The demon-looking horn teeth thing in the kind of middle bottom is known as, I think we just call them Almagus. They charge up and cast an incredibly powerful spell. It's really bad. They are vulnerable to break, and so we can use Break Blade to take them out of the fight immediately. Otherwise, we have to use entirely different tactics of like, how do we like burst them down or survive, because that attack does, you know, maybe like 1,500 damage. Yeah, I will be using the like race time for like the official quote unquote time. So keep that in mind. But yeah, and so I mentioned a little long time ago, when one part is left alive, they go Super Saiyan and start doing a lot of bad stuff. Other things of note, the back part is vulnerable to instant death. We can use the, as we see on Judge Joe, where it looks like he chopped the whole boss in half. But that was really just the back part, through a quirk of the targeting of Magic Lamp when it summons Odin. We can use that to wipe out another part.
I was going to say, it looks like, based on Freddy's stream timer, He is, let's see here, his stream timer is 2:10:28 as opposed to 2:11 something that I had. And his, compared to the other two, is about maybe 40 seconds separate. So I'm not sure what happened to get... I know I started our timer late,
Yeah.
but
yeah,
I don't
the
know what
timer
happened to
on our
get Freddy's
screen
on-screen timer
is, like,
different, but
It's like 10 seconds behind the race room timer.
Right.
Oh yeah, other parts of this boss. So there's the two that we have the tools to get rid of immediately. The like mythical beast, pinkish red one in the middle top. Which we're seeing right now, does this grand cross attack, which inflicts all sorts of random nasty status ailments on the party. I think we have is that a zombie? No. For the most part, we're okay. We can mitigate that. They're weak to paralyze, but we don't have that. They also reset their script at certain damage thresholds, so we can kind of keep them under wraps by attacking them. And then yeah, the other one just does physical attacks, which like Freddy used Magic Lamp to get all the way to Golem, and so that's covering them for right now. We did see Berserk get taken off because I mentioned there's like dummy targets out there to take hits. Berserkers, if we had X Fight, that would be another one. Meteo is not going to work. I think Joe's got someone down to one part, and when I mentioned the bad stuff they do, it's like cast Meteo and then do Vacuum Wave.
ow.
So they're really in a spot that they gotta either recover or finish this like now. And they have finished it
GG.
with in race room time of 2:13:14.
Well done.
I think we'll turn our attention to Freddy. They're going to be close behind. I think they're down to 2 parts. When we saw that the laws of physics are broken text, that's our cue that the Grand Cross attack is coming soon.
Cross comes for all. And boy, is it a grand one.
Lena, down again. I mean, they got condemns. This is where it's like the game picks on Lena. I don't necessarily blame Lena that they're taking naps a lot. It just seems like there's something overarching in the enemy targeting algorithm. It's like, get Lena.
Well, yeah, it's like if you have a mage, a white mage in your backline party in FF1, Kraken 2 is going to target them. I don't care what the percentages say, Kraken 2 is always going to kill them.
Or life casters in general, but especially when it's a white mage.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Freddy's case, I think we saw Poison, Mini, Toad. Some of those are more manageable than others. Some of them we have to immediately deal with. Zombies always bad. I don't know who's gonna come out. Okay, we're seeing Meteo. We know Fiery Blizzard is down to 1 part. And now they're down to 2 party members. So this is again that point of, do I push?
You
Do I
push
try to
or...
recover?
Yep.
How good have I been counting damage on 4 parts of this boss that take, there's like 250,000 hit points all put together in this final fight. Joe counted well, and they knew that they were 1 hit away, so didn't go for that recovery. Fiery Blizzard living on the edge here. trying to recover but get that damage out at the same time. Wow. Boom. It's gonna be the
And
GGs for Fiery Blizzard. Race room time 2:16:01. Freddy very close behind. I don't know if we're gonna see the nasty. Oh, no, never
Oh.
mind.
all right, commentator's curse.
Because they were like managing the damage very well, and they still have, like, they were one hit away, I think, from getting them both. No, they're just going for it, which is good to go. Boom. Freddy finishing race room time 2:16:13. Very close race overall.
Wow,
diverse-
that's incredibly close.
People got in at different times. Obviously, Freddy had that panda wipe, which is the main, really, I think the main setback there of they're probably finishing neck and neck with Joe. And they were pretty close to each other the whole way. I think Joe just had a little bit more damage on the tree phase of X Death. I think that's where they kind of took the lead in that final fight, but all of them coming under the estimate that we would give for normally that sort of block. But I think we need to start getting ready for the next leg here. Although I'm gonna look to the production team, see if we have any time for a quick interview or
See here, supposed to start at 2.
'cause I think we made up some time, but
Yeah,
little
we're
bit
still a little behind. I'd kind of like to push a little bit, but I also don't want to deny them a quick on-stream grats. So let me actually, if you guys want to actually pull them in, I can start working on getting the next runner set up while you guys talk. How's that sound?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we'll pull Freddie in for a quick interview while we get set up for the next one.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and kill that on.
Or we can pull the whole crew in and just let them complain to me about
Yeah, I was gonna say get Freddie and Joe.
That
and-
works.
what I did to them. Yeah, they're all here.
Hello,
Nope.
GG.
My Judge Joe in the booth.
Judge Joe.
GG's.
Thanks. That was. I was not sure where people were. It was a clenching finish.
Yeah, very close. Did I do well in selecting?
It was a good seed. Media was very prevalent early, and then it had some tools for a solid X death at the end. So, pretty solid squad. Possibly on the stronger end that you can get with 4 jobs, but not one of the absolute. I'm going to spam Gil Toss or mix max levels and implode the AoE ending.
Yeah, anything in terms of like particular places you had to go or bosses that you faced that, you know.
Fork Tower is always fun when it pops up. I do enjoy a Kara Seed. This was an absolutely free Fork Tower with double X zonable bosses, but so that always could have been scary overall. A
Yeah.
lot of the real nasty ones I felt popped up early enough.
Yeah, I tried to balance a little bit of, well, one, I certainly when I saw the required fork, but it wasn't very mean, I was like, well, this'll put a pause in everything. Like,
I was hoping it wouldn't be too bad, and I got very lucky with my setups for fork. I ended up doing fork at like 110 or something, like really early.
Pretty early.
Galura still almost killed me though, because Exxon still misses.
Yeah.
That's what break
Yeah.
blade's for. I just break bladed.
Speaking of X-Zone missing,
Yeah, you want to know who immediately got killed? Mystic Knight.
I did on the
Back row.
Galura side swap the back row for safety's sake, extra hit, but
I didn't get a turn until I got killed.
I
preemptive.
usually swap back right before I even go into the fight, just in case. Yeah.
Speaking of X-Zone RNG, Biblos.
Mhm.
He could be X-Zoned, right?
Yeah, I fired 3-sword it.
I would fire three swords.
So I should have equipped a
Yeah.
knife. I tried 3 X-Zones, missed them all. I had a break blade because I'm like, maybe. No, it's definitely Fire 3, but that's the one doing damage. So I summoned up Fire 3 with a sword user, and then I missed 3 Fire 3 swings and hit it on like the 4th, and I'm just like, that was dumb.
Yeah, I did. Did you guys die to a panda at all? Because a panda trolled the
Nope.
crap out of me.
No.
That's probably mostly why I lost, honestly.
I just jammed a couple Fire 3 blades and imploded him.
Yeah. I mean,
didn't have-
if you want to talk about really dumb, my shoot fight, which was...
Was it Medio?
Wait, there was Medio?
Oh, you
Oh,
got
yeah.
the Desert Barbarian
You
hit.
missed meteor. Oh right, yeah.
I mean,
got
I
the
did...
meteor as well before the meteors are better in hint.
I did,
the Desert Barbarian.
I mean, I went to Flying Locker Ruins well before I even entered World 2. So...
It was Sandworm bait.
Yeah, but... Oh, Sandworm Bait was from Stalkers, wasn't it?
Oh,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah, and I just immediately...
Yeah,
I saw that, I'm like, I don't feel like spending the time for this.
that's fair.
So I did eventually
exceedingly
go...
lucky on that fight.
I went back to Stalk because I didn't have Sleep Blade at the time, so I went back to Stalkers once I could one-hit kill it. But before that, yeah, no, I never did Sandworm Bait, so I never had Medio.
I didn't go that much though. Like it was not very useful.
Early, up through X Death, it was good.
I
Yeah, I
mean,
used it for X Death a lot for sure.
It was
but-
20 to 30 minutes of good use, and then it got ditched.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, my DPS was, I think, a Dancing Dagger and a Double Grip Slumber Sword for
I
most of it.
bought
Oh,
a Defender and used that with double grip
Yeah.
early on in mid game, but yeah.
I mean,
I had
the
an ancient sword and a defender, and then I think an enhancer, maybe even. I might have had an enhancer.
no,
for
those were
X
all
Death.
in World 2. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
Good seed.
I don't think the ancient.
I
ancient
really
blade
do.
wasn't
I
in
want.
World Two.
I kind of want to pull up the like void dives and stuff, because anything that ends that
Void
close with 3 racers, just like the void,
Oh yeah.
heading through the void up until the finish.
Like I said, I lost probably 3 minutes to 4 minutes easily to Panda, just trolling the shit out of me.
My CK luck was awful at the end. It was just kept. It's a 75% chance to not proc run, but it just kept procking run.
I had one person standing after a Medio go, all right, Dragon Whip, you are swapping to a Brave Blade because I think I'm close, but I want that extra 1,000 or because I have double grip on this person and 5,000 damage, and we got it.
Yeah, I miscounted at the end. I miscounted a couple of times. I miscounted on gargoyles in the trench.
Oh,
which was
Gargoyle's like
Oh,
immediately
that's what-
revived. I'm set up, I'm ready to go and kill the other, so I swing, kill one, it pops down, it pops up, and I'm like, really, game? That was that was like not even a third of an ATB bar.
But yeah, that was a fun seed.
Yeah.
Overall, real fun. I'm looking forward to seeing how the other 2 groups make it out of this.
for sure. I mean, I'll take expecting third place and only losing by 12 seconds. So.
Speaking
than
of the
last
other
year.
groups, I believe I have everyone cropped, and we are pretty much ready to go with Jets of Time.
All right.
Well, good luck to
Wishing
Jets of
them luck.
Timers. We'll not talk everyone's ear off for forever like we definitely can do.
Yep. Have a good night.
Have a
Thanks
good
for
night.
having us around.
Night and good luck.